Okay, in the video learning at the school, I was talking about a certain way of learning and teaching also that is fostering autonomy. So the idea of this is to have enough time where you can follow what you want to follow and where you can decide what you want to do, and where you at the same time have people around that can help you when you need help. And it is always weighing of how much guidance is needed, or how much freedom can we have to explore the things. And it can be depending on the things very different, but also depending on how we feel at the moment. I give a metaphor about this. You are trying to go up the mountain, or you want to go up the mountain, and there is the cable car up the mountain. That's one possibility that you have. There's another possibility that is a concrete path up the mountain that you can walk up. There's another possibility. It is on the back of the mountain. There are also some smaller paths, but for these paths you take a guide that leads you up. Then there's another possibility. Yeah, you take also these paths, but you only use a map, so you don't have a guide. Then there's another possibility, which is you don't even use a map. And then you don't even use the paths. And this is a scale of how much knowledge that is already there you use, and also in which way you use it. And this will create different experiences, and acknowledges that it's not just about reaching the goal as effectively as possible, or as quickly or efficient as possible, but that is actually also about the path, about the way. How do you want to go up the mountain? And that would be decided on the one hand by you, but maybe also the people surrounding you. And as I said, it depends on what do we want to learn, what is our situation. And there can be situations where the same thing you would decide to take, like going up the mountain, you would decide to take the cable car, or you would decide to go on the back of the mountain, just freely into the countryside without any guidance. We can go very deep into this topic, but now in this video I want to mention the differences in learning between being in the school or being at an intensive. And I could also talk about the way of learning in the group classes, but I keep it out. I just mentioned that it's also a different thing happening there, so that's like the third entity. As I mentioned already, the learning in the school should be a mix out of guidance and no guidance, of time where it's very structured and clear, and time where the time can be freely used and freely chosen what to do, and where it can be also your own responsibility to figure something out, and only get some guidance if you really need it. The intensives, on the other hand, are very structured. There's very little choosing of the material, if any. And there I would be much quicker with giving feedback. Although in January I keep myself a bit back with giving feedback too early. But anyway, in the intensives I give feedback quicker than in the normal day-to-day thing in the school. I think giving feedback too early can be problematic. It can trouble actually the learning process. The reason why the intensives are like this is also because of time. So it's a limited amount of time, just a few days, where we try to put a lot of stuff into these days. I'm not saying that this is a way of teaching that let's say is equally good than the way of teaching in the school. It's just the way of teaching that's needed for this format, and for this format it works very well. And I think this is actually a very good difference between the two, and also to experience the two, to stay at the school, but also to experience intensive, to experience intensives, and to experience these different ways of how can I learn things, because in a sense they are complementing each other. Where I'm concerned with is that in our society it's very common to, as you first go to school and later you might be employed somewhere, you are constantly in situations where you are told what to do and where your freedom of choice might be very little, depending on what you work. But definitely in the old school system, although it might change now in several places of the world, it might get more open. But the old school system is that you can choose very little. It's very much decided for you what you need to learn. And this is educating us that we are not able to choose by ourselves what we want to learn and also how to learn things. And I feel that's very problematic. So this deciding what the student will learn and also the way how it's learned, I use it, but I don't want to overuse it. I want to use it in a way that is beneficial, because I think it is actually also beneficial, as very often we don't know what we want to learn, or we know, but actually there are other things that we just have no awareness of that they even exist. So we cannot even decide to learn them because we don't know of their existence. And this is exactly the reason why there's a teacher. The role of the teacher is to help the students do things that otherwise he or she wouldn't do. That's the role of the teacher. Nothing else, basically. Nothing else. Yeah. And for this, to give a clear structure and to say, hey, now we are doing this, now do it like this is very good. But if it's too much, then it just further strengthens this underlying idea that we have in our society, that you cannot make choices by yourself, that someone else is deciding things for you, and that you are unable to learn things by yourself. And this is very disempowering, actually. And I think it is very empowering if you learn to be autonomous, or if you are autonomous, and use or are taught in this structural way in a very healthy range while keeping this autonomy. And to make this happen, I make sure that the teaching that happens at the school and also in combination with the intensives is putting this on the right scale, is balancing these things out.